guess we would say it's a live podcast, correct? But you know, we're gonna talk what we talk anyway. But today we want to discuss this. We are at the Atlanta Comic-Con. It is one of how many? 6? One of 6 Black Comic-Cons in the country. We want to talk about being more inclusive towards Blerd culture, so to speak. I think a lot of times we try to create it as some type of subculture, and then in the culture, it's very flat and monolithic. But then when we get into activism, we want to tell everybody we ain't no damn monolith. But we like to reinforce a lot of monolithic behaviors. And 9 times out of 10, that shit that stemmed from the crack era. So we talk about the last 40 years a lot, and we talk about the impacts that it's had on our community as far as how we like to identify ourselves and like what we deem is cool, what we deem is like the culture, you know what I'm saying, what the community is. But a lot of times what that just means is like what the media will portray us as, and we don't control all our media all the time. So I want to shout out to a lot of these creators and vendors that's been here. Am I better like this? Yeah. Let's take a vote. Y'all want it like this? Oh, I did this one mic, one change. That nigga Nas was snapping on that. Yeah, this is the show. This is what I do. I mean, it's a very ADHD-driven show. But I think when I wanted to shout out to a lot of the vendors and a lot of the creators that's in this space because they've created an avenue for themselves to see themselves in a culture that they love and admire. I think a lot of times, like, when it comes to anime and shit like that, we know that stems from like Japanese culture. We're gonna be the minority in these spaces, right? And then you look on the TV and it's a nigga that's black as night with red lips, and you like, damn. Damn. A black character gotta look like that. This nigga look like the Gollywog. Or it's like, you could just go brown skin. Nah, let's make this nigga green, like, you know what I'm saying?
Shout out Piccolo.
So I think I want to shout out to y'all that are creating your own expression, that are representing yourselves well in these spaces, and that are like kind of taking control of the media and what you look like and what represents you. So if there is any creators in here, let's give them a clap, let's give them a hand. Hey, oh shit, I got the power. Hey man, shout out to Big Ice Cup Cat. If Big Ice Cup, holler at the folks.
What a question.
How y'all doing? Hey, voice. Y'all know what it is. Y'all probably damn, this nigga big for real. Big cat. Yeah, I know what that look like. Just how y'all doing? Y'all doing good? Y'all
Yeah.
I'm enjoying me. Y'all know who I am. That's crazy to me. Just because when he called me one day, he was like, "Yo, man, come push a button on this camera," and now I'm the coolest co-host in the world. And look at God. So I do want to thank my brother Deante Kyle for giving me the opportunity, and I love y'all.
Stand up, bro.
Yeah, you gotta stand up, man. Yeah, just lead. Yeah.
He don't need no introduction, man. Y'all know that, man.
I appreciate all of y'all being here. I'm looking forward to having a nice, thought-provoking conversation about the different textures of blackness and what I'm gonna call nigginess. You know what I'm saying? I really want to give a big shouts to this brother, man. You one of the first people I seen on social media that was being very authentic in your truck, delivering some analysis that I felt like we're gonna see people writing dissertations and really trying to filter through while this man was clocked in, getting them miles, man. And what we see right now is that because he didn't give a damn about how people was coming at him, or he didn't give a damn how people would take his message, he got grit to the next podcast. Shout out to him, man. I think make sure that when you see people on the internet that you really love and that you really fuck with, really be mindful that your engagement to them can really change the way that message comes to the world. And I know both of us acknowledge that we get to do what we do because people like y'all come out and show love and support and like and comment and follow and send a message to your friends and to your mom and them. We really appreciate it.
Man, shout out. Give a hand to Conscious D. All right, I'm gonna sit down. I ain't used to sitting down, bro. Normally I like the pace and shit, but you know, be a little professional today. Why not? If the mic was longer here, I promise you I'd be wall to wall in here. So I think the first thing that I want to discuss more than anything is something that I was discussing with some of the other podcasters in here. And not seeing myself necessarily being a part of this space, right? I'm not a big anime fan, but then when you come in these spaces, you realize like, it's not just anime, it's video games, it's cartoons, and it's boondocks, you feel me? Love boondocks, like, but that's just somebody, like I said, taking a position to say, okay, I love this style of art, I love this culture, but I don't see myself represented well in this culture. How do I include myself? How do I tell our stories? And then, you know, whoever thought you would have seen an anime that have nigga moments? You feel me? Like, where we talk about Thugnificent and we talk about Gangstalicious, like things that really are archetypes in our community that we recognize, but we don't necessarily always see translated in media. So when I came here, it was like, oh, okay, cool. So like, I don't know what part of the culture I belong to. Like, I know I be outside for real. Y'all know, if y'all know my background, y'all know I come from the street. I done sold some drugs. I used to be a little jailbird. You know what I'm saying? Then I transitioned my way up into like advocating for trades because I got a trades. I'm a family man. I got kids. I take care of my babies. You know what I'm saying? So it's like all these things that I've encompassed upon becoming a man, but also having such a love and a deep connection to this community and this thing we call the culture. And when we growing up and we in high school and we in adolescent spaces, the media and the media that gets pumped to us is usually through hip hop, right? So a lot of times those things are informed, but then you see MF Doom in the back, you feel me? That's also a very subculture of hip hop where if niggas using too many words, we call nigga backpacker. So now we start subculturing intellectual shit, like, and if we gotta go to Rap Genius and there's too many highlights on there, then it's like, all right, well, this nigga belongs to something else. But then like, we'll call shit like the Migos, The Culture. They even have an album called The Culture. And then this nigga doing Zaxby's commercials talking about pepper. So it's like, Jerry Rice had on a helmet for Popeyes with chicken bone in the motherfucker. So it's like, but the thing, when I'm saying to say this, is like, we often see a lot more integrity in spaces where people have alternative interests, right? They like to get to the gist of things and the true nature of things, but as a community, we like to ostracize that way of thinking. Like, and I don't know if it's just a thing of, we done got so comfortable being degraded. Is that the right word? That didn't even feel right. Degraded? Degradation. Ah, Sammy! Nah, this shit kind Somebody take me! And we did see Smoke yesterday. Smoke and Andy was in here yesterday. I don't know if they're in here today, but they was doing their thing. I guess because they have no twins. So I think the thing is like, I know what I fit into when I was in school, right? I know that because I love hip hop, it became a thing of like, okay, I got these mixtapes, I got these interests, so I'm gonna just align myself with people who have these same interests. Now, the fucked up part of it is, these niggas is talking about selling crack. So, when my people ask me like, what you gonna do after school, they don't know like I'm cooking up a master plan. I'm gonna sell some crack, man. Like, I don't know if y'all know this, y'all talking about college, I'm gonna hit these streets. Like 50 Cent gave me the whole blueprint. If you go listen to the 10 Crack Commandments, you pretty much know how to operate in the street. Now, we look at this as music and entertainment, but who controls the outlets for that media, right? It's not us. We don't have ownership over hip hop, so then we have ownership of our image. Like, we've lost ownership of our image. And the people that take ownership over their image in places like high school, you know how hard it is to be yourself in high school? So like, yeah, Buddy might have been doing a Naruto run down the hallway, but he was free.
And I think that is where the ostracization come in. I identified growing up, I was not an anime kid. I did anime and really all of the sci-fi alternative, it didn't really appeal to me. I didn't really get into it. But as I got older, I realized I internalized a lot of pathological things about my people that limited how I felt like niggas could be free in different expressions. So when I seen Naruto going down the hallway, I'd be like, that nigga is weird. And that's the reason people treat him that way. Yeah. Now as I'm older and moving through this space this weekend, I've been really thinking like, y'all the niggas that was always brave enough to have a radical imagination and not really trip on how the world gonna treat you. You see what I'm saying? And I think that even though we ain't really part of the space, our neurodivergent asses fit right in because we also, I've been doing collecting a lot of data walking around here. And what I know, whether y'all know it or not, these diagnoses have been here. You know what I'm saying? And I feel comfortable saying it because I got like 2. You know what I mean? But just to say, they're in here. You know what I mean? So when you was talking, I'm thinking about how much anti-intellectualism has been poured in going back to high school, and why we started looking at certain cartoons and certain expressions as being quote unquote that white shit, because it was already starting to degrade what it means to be an intellectual. Which is why when you go to me like, you say a word with more than 4 syllables, you might turn some people off. You say 3 words with 4 syllables and 2 sentences, we don't want to hear that shit, Raheem. So being here makes me where I think about the intersections of like the sci-fi fantasy, but also speaking truth to power and doing it in a way where you're being unapologetic. I say all I have to say, I really would like to go back to my high school self and really like talk to that nigga and be like, hey bro, you gotta look at this different, but also being able to create a better climate to make it where I wasn't contributing to the toxicity or contributing to the anti-blackness of being like, those weird niggas over there, yeah, the ones that wear all the black, the gothic, yeah, them niggas over there, you see what I'm saying? And I can be mindful now and think like, hey, you probably contributed to some shitty experiences for people that was in school. So for the people that gave y'all a hard time in high school, I want to apologize for them. And for people that's watching, they'd be like, that nigga used to look at me crazy. Conscious Lee wants to apologize to you. I know we got the cameras in here, you know what I mean? Apologies.
Hey man, y'all stood 10 toes, bro. Y'all still in adulthood holding this shit down, right? So think about this. Think about the multiple identities and phases that people go through, right? And like when he spoke to the mental health aspect of it or the neurodivergent aspect of it, I think a part of neurodivergence is just being extremely observant, right? Now, what part of that is a forced assimilation, right? When I'm sitting here scoping out and seeing what's cool and what's not, and what I want to be a part of, ultimately, what I'm just looking for is acceptance, right? Now, I don't know what the fuck you talking about when you talking about Yu-Gi-Oh! And why you got these cards at school. You get what I'm saying? But I know that y'all got y'all own little clique, and I'm still trying to find myself. So there could be a level of envy in that too, right? But we don't express that as kids. We just be like, that nigga weird, you know what I'm saying? Why is cuz sitting on the ground outside? Why? But like the thing is like we don't understand what freedom look like. We also don't know like, for example, my cousin is this type of person, you feel me? He a big anime dude, woody whoop whoop. Now, I'm an adult engaging with him. So I don't look at him as weird. But I know that man got good friends. I know that man, his parents, they have created a safe space for him to feel like he expressed himself. And if cuz want to wear a cape to school, he can do that because his parents love him, which means that he has such a reinforced confidence that he don't really give a fuck about what y'all think about him. Now me, coming from the situation I'm coming from, when you in the midst, this is where the Grits and Eggs shit come from. The catalyst for the Grits and Eggs podcast is my parents getting divorced, right? So when my parents get divorced, I stay with my dad. Most times you go with your mama, right? You don't realize how much your mama got her shit together until you live with your daddy. And this is just an unfortunate part of it, right? Like, my dad ain't thinking about amenities. My dad ain't thinking about, like, the dryer broke. Hang that shit up outside. I smell like outside now. How I'ma make up for that? Curve and Joning niggas. Before they get to me about my shit, I'ma go at you because I'm trying to fight back of these insecurities or these things that I deem as insecurities, right? Because I feel like y'all gonna see me for real. Let me point out some shit about you real quick. Let me figure something out, right? All that shit is all defense mechanisms. Now, how much of our community is just moving on defense all the time to try to like deflect from their own insecurities? How many people, when we talked about the emotional situation that we was doing, how many of these kids' parents are making decisions to get them material things over school supplies because they know that our community is so insecure, they care more about what you look like on the outside than what's really going on up here. So I fall into these categories, and luckily I was able to evolve myself out of these spaces. But I still remember being a proponent of like some bullying for people, like, and also like trying to avoid being bullied my damn self, right? Like, if y'all tell me them folks ain't cool, but y'all are deemed as the cool people, fuck it, man. We rocking with these folks over here, cause like I really don't have no identity. So then we get into this cosplaying thing, right? Adults cosplaying other characters, seeing it as weird. How many niggas is outside right now with a gangster costume on?
That hurt.
And I'm knowing that because I had that costume on for a minute too. And when you in a hotel room selling crack and you like, damn, if these people come in here, I'm going to prison, my nigga. But I can't be scared because ain't nobody else scared. They were scared too. But it's a thing of like, we don't control our media. So the media spaces that y'all are participating in, y'all know that y'all was the minority. It never took away y'all interest. Y'all dealt with racism from those communities. Y'all deal with racism all the time in those communities, whether it be from white people or Asian people. But y'all don't allow people to steal y'all interest away from you. Whereas like in the greater community, we allow them to like dictate what we can see as cool or whatever, but like, what happened? Othering, correct. So I'm in the whip, I got the aux, we're listening to Earl Sweatshirt, my nigga. It's not a conversation we're gonna have. But then when I'm super conscious of it because this is a alternative interest that I have. I'm like, all right, cuz it's just kind of like talking to the beat. Let me put on something a little bit more environmentally friendly, right? But like my dog right here with the MF Doom on, he finna run that shit. And he not gonna have no shame about it. So you also are dealing with people that are coming out of like deep insecurities, deep fears of rejection as a collective, and then also who's getting the most money? The person that stays independent because they rap how they want to rap or represent themselves the way they want to represent themselves, they don't make the most money. The people who assimilate to these caricatures or these stereotypes and they pump that shit into the ground, they make all the money. If you come from a poor community, you're going to go for where the money is.
There's a profit to pathology.
Huh?
There's a profit to pathology, you're correct.
Thank you. So we're going to let you cook up here in a minute. We're going to put you on the panel in a minute. You know what I'm saying? But I think a big part of it is like that y'all should be championing yourselves, and also too, like, I want to discuss some ways that y'all feel like we can, like, from people that's outside and have othered y'all and have made y'all feel like y'all aren't a part of the greater community. How do we get this mentality of like nerd culture or blerd culture being a subgenre of black culture and it just being a part of black culture? And because it shouldn't take like Meg Thee Stallion to cosplay for y'all to be cool. You know what I'm saying? Actually, y'all turn her up. And I think it's a thing of like, we look at it the other way around, like, okay, she's cool, but, you know, I think some people take stereotypical paths, and we think a lot more about what we can do with our bodies before we start showcasing our minds. And I think we need to have a mind-first mentality in our community, instead of what we can do with our bodies, whether that be sexual, whether that be physical, whether that be our labor, any of that shit. I think a big part of this thing that we get down to is like, we scared of our minds. We're scared of expressing our minds because oftentimes that comes with so much rejection and so much backlash. It's just easier to be something else. And a lot of us are cosplaying some shit we not. And y'all actually doing this shit for the love of the game. and niggas is doing this for survival every day. So how do we get out of this space of like trying to survive our own identities instead of just living freely and being willing to express ourselves unapologetically, right? I think I built the podcast off of being unapologetic, and it took for me to get on the road, for me to break away from my friends, some family, and things like that. When I got into a space where I actually could sit with my thoughts and like sift through these feelings that I was having and even these insecurities I was having, I'm able to relate to a lot more people because now I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm gonna say what I got to say. They ain't gonna fire me for doing this. And ain't nobody in this truck to beat me up or judge me. So it's just me and my phone, and I'm gonna get this shit off. I deleted my Instagram because I don't need niggas that I went to school with perceiving me. And all of this shit come from a fear of perception. I literally had to get rid of everything that I felt like was perceiving me to be able to be open to a new audience and be perceived by people that don't know me. So y'all can make the judgment on who I am when I'm really expressing myself over than who I was when I was 17 or this nigga Chopper that people know me as, and I don't want to be that nigga no more. You know what I'm saying? So I appreciate y'all for being in here. I'm gonna let Lee, I know Lee wants to extrapolate. I'm gonna let Lee get his shit off, and then we're gonna let Big Cat get some shit off too.
I just want to say there is a tough conversation for us to have about class within this pathology for how this space relates to the rest of the Black community and how this community relates to the greater, both ways. You know what I'm saying? I think that there was a lot of times we weaponized the idea of being some white shit, and thinking about also how there was times for flattening Black culture and being like, yeah, but everybody don't talk like that, everybody don't dress like that. And to me, it was like the white perspective, the white gaze, G-A-Z-E, being placed on both demographics. Niggas from the hood see the cosplay middle class niggas, or the cosplay, whether you middle class or not, as somebody that's prescribing the middle class, as being like, yeah, y'all exclusionary. And the other one being like, yeah, because I'm not into this, and I want to do, Naruto or talk about Yu-Gi-Oh! Or Pokemon cards, you invalidate my Blackness. So for me, it's thinking about how on both sides, there's a lot of negotiating of validation and acceptance within to the larger context of Black people. And I think that that's something, a tough conversation for us to have. Because I would say in my language, lost in the South, so anti-Blackness is coming from the way that we don't get to have this space being much more inclusive. Because what I do know is that this space is going to be the most intersectional in terms of gender, in terms of sexual expressions, transgender expressions. And I think that is something to be talked about. But I still think that there is a lot of people that feel alienated from this space because of how class is structured very silently. But it's still being here. Because to this point, if you eating sleep for dinner or you trying to survive, it's like, yeah, I also like boondocks and want to dress up like pimp named Slickback. But that money gonna have to go over here. You see what I'm saying? And it's not it's not to say that everybody in this space has this financial luxury or financial privilege, but it's acknowledging that for some people to get access into this space, that perception of being like, yeah, but nigga, I ain't got it. My mama love me too, but my mama don't have it. I can't dress up as that. You see what I'm saying? And just thinking about what this means for validation and acceptance. Because when you were speaking, I'm thinking the whole time, thinking like, in high school, we all just trying to be accepted, and we doing it at the expense of ourselves, and we all want to be validated. So if I can be validated by the rest of the popular kids and be like, fuck them niggas over there, fuck them niggas over there. And it's just like that. That's the sad part. But now I'm thinking that as adults, one more time, as adults, how does this dictate our relationships? And how does this dictate even how we do a lot of policy, how we do a lot of political organizing? This tension, it also comes out in organizing. Because now we have, like, just you see where I'm going with this?
Do the knowledge, nigga. Shout out to Tristan. If y'all ever wonder who was doing all the editing, that's Tristan right there. Shout out Tristan. And y'all know we talk about Suki the Saint down there. If y'all been to our table on our booth over there, Suki is down there manning the table. Yeah, I think about that part of it. There needs to be some extension from the so-called greater Black culture to y'all, right? But I also understand, like, everybody need to air their grievances out, right? There's gonna be some pushback. If you felt if I made you feel some type of way, you got all the right in the room to be like, nah, nigga, fuck y'all, cause like y'all made times hard for me. But like, let's also think about the fact that there's always been some form of greater intellect or drive towards greater intellect in these spaces, right? There's some fixation that come with that, because when I was talking to Buddy about like wrestling yesterday, I was like, I don't know about the meet and greet no more, my nigga. I really do want to talk about like the best heels of 99 like Attitude Era right now. You know what I'm saying? I want to get into that. So, but I think there's a flattening that I was doing to myself. There's a flattening that the rest of us was doing to ourselves to be accepted and things like that. And when we go back to this idea of like intellect and expression, how are we gauging what our like, how we feel towards being intelligent, right? So I'm saying that to say, I remember this time in 7th grade where I didn't make the basketball team. I was fucked up about it, you know what I'm saying? I had cried on the bus after school, right? But I also had my report card, and my report card had like 2 F's on it type shit. And so I'm telling my partner like, bruh, you know what I'm saying? I ain't make the basketball team and woody woo woo. And then I was like, then I got 2 F's on my report card and shit, like my pop's gonna trip. And this nigga was like, man, fuck basketball and fuck school. And I was like, whoa, my nigga. That's not quite where I was headed with this conversation. I was actually going to tell you, like, I need to tighten the fuck up. But because of how, like, sure he was, I was like, this nigga's on to something. hey, man, fuck basketball and fuck school, you know what I'm saying? But that fuck it mentality is very prevalent. It's a giving up. And I was recognizing in a lot of times, right, that I'm giving up in spaces I never even fucking tried in. I wasn't trying in school, but then I was willing to give up on it, right? And I think that when we see people being persistent, and not only their education, but in their expression, there's a jealousy that come with that. Like, there's a jealousy and an envy that come with that. Also, too, there ain't no really making it out of this, like, forced assimilation that we do in our own community. Niggas want to be from the street so bad, there ain't no making it out of that. And it's so hard to get into it because you got to fake your whole personality to get in the first place. You got to flatten your emotions, you got to flatten your intelligence, you got to flatten every aspect of yourself to assimilate to these spaces that was provided to us by the fucking CIA. So like, no, I'm just saying, that's just real though. Y'all know we talk about that. I ain't scared of these niggas, bro. So the thing is, shout out to Dr. Keith. What's up, Keith? Y'all seen this man, every time he get a haircut, he gonna be on TikTok. He on TikTok with gold chains and a wife beater, every time. All right. Have a seat, my brother. But I'm thinking about like, I'm curious from here to y'all, like, first of all, like, how do you maintain an integrity within yourself, right? It is very easy to like dish off parts of yourself to be accepted, to be liked, to be invisible in some spaces, right? Like if you are a part of a bigger collective and that collective has such a uniformity, you are invisible, right? So when I'm in the street and I look like every other nigga out here and I think like every other nigga like out here, I am invisible, right? Because this is just one big stereotype or one big circumstance where everybody hiding from something, right? Now, we get into this space where we talk about like the last 40 years and the effect that it has had on us, not only mentally, but in our spaces. Like when you go outside and you look at shit and you see nothing, you feel like nothing. When shit is destructive, you start being a little destructive in your own mind towards yourself, right? So I am curious to even gauge like where that integrity comes from and like where that persistence to like fight for your own expression and fight for alternative expression comes from. So we is gonna open up to the crowd.
I I said, we're gonna talk about emotional intelligence and having a sense of self, and then, you know, how you build that and stuff like that.
Hell yeah, we.
Come say your piece.
Yeah. No, we gotta let you get it out. Also, too, this is what we do here. We are big on being inclusionary. I want you to let you get your shit out though, because I can hear it.
Hi, I'm Dr. Hall. I teach at Howard University. I'm a psychotherapist. And I'm a social worker, but I'm a psychotherapist through that doctorate. I'm gonna move around because I know there's a thing here. I'm not trying to take over, but he's digging into emotional intelligence, you know, the stuff we see on TikTok a lot. IQ, EQ. When you get angry, do you turn your eye, do you go blind? Or if you get angry, do you freeze up? That kind of stuff. So I'm just sticking to, you knew who you are based on how your parents got you up, brought you up, right? Sometimes that's a given, sometimes it's not. But you knew who you are. And then sometimes you come into public spaces where you either make a choice to stand, dig your toes in, or you choose to have the fun route, which is being othered, right? There's a lot of scholarship out there about being othered. So I'm basically saying it takes a very, very core sense of strength to be in those spaces where you're othered, but still true to you. But it's not a criticism if you decide to survival tactic, flip between. It's not code switching, but it's a survival tactic. And this has tried and true us time and time again. I'm not gonna go too far into it, but he actually touched upon it about when you go into new spaces and then what you choose to say and what you choose not to say. It's not being a hypocrite, it's not being a coon. You're actually surviving and you're living your legacy. So I'm just basically talking about, you know, your sense of self is what guides you on knowing who you are, what you want to do every single time when the doors are closed, what answers do you give versus when other people are looking at you. That's a sense of self, right? So I'm saying that to say that if you're a nerd or not, and by the way, I'm just going to disclose, I'm one of those IEP kids who was gifted. Was anyone under a gifted plan or an IEP?
I know it, man.
God.
I wanted to just talk about, share that there's a separation between neurodiversity. There's a lot of normalcy when it comes to being a nerd as well.
Gotcha.
Being a Blerd as well. But let me not talk too much, but I just wanted to say that he's touching upon that topic real quick. Lots
Yeah, shout out to the professor. Shout out to Howard too. Yeah, I would say to that point too, there was a lot of self bubbling below the surface for me always, right? It wasn't until I never had made anything shake in my life being a flattened version of myself. It wasn't until I was fully expressing myself that led me to being heard and to being here, right? And because I can know both sides of it, I think the hybrid makes me a little bit more dynamic than others because I can speak to the mentality at the true nature of it and what it is. And a lot of times it's just assimilation and insecurity. So I'm gonna let my partner Big Crat speak, and then we're gonna dive into this topic that we want to speak on about W.E.B. Du Bois.
Big Ice Cup. Hey, how y'all doing again? It's Big Ice Cup. Now I just want to speak about something. Being here, seeing how y'all express yourselves, and it's cool because being a child, my grandmother would say you have to keep your inner child happy, and y'all are definitely keeping your inner child happy, and I like to see that, and that really touched close to home to me. So yeah, that was a cool experience for me. Another thing is, when you look at me, right, if you just see me on the street, you wouldn't think that I listen to like rock music or anything like that, right? So, we in the car 7 hours from Atlanta, I got Metallica on, going crazy. Yeah, so, it's just, growing up, like saying, being in high school, I was tall, so of course, they always, you gotta play sports, But no one ever said, you can be a doctor, or you can be something else, you know what I mean? It was always, you can play sports. So I thought that was the way out, the end all be all. I'm tall, I can play sports, this is the way to get money. But no, man, there's so much other things to do, and we doing it. You know, I never thought I would be a podcaster. Well, I guess that's what we are, a podcast. Yeah. I never thought I'd be a podcaster, and I never thought I'd have my own animation of a big cat popping up on screen. And that's crazy. So, yeah, I'm very grateful to be here, man. I thank y'all for listening, and that's it for me.
Big ass
I'll say this, me and Big Cat both share like a deep love for rock and roll. It has been like a through line of our podcast, like, so if y'all niggas ever want to have like a listening party about System of a Down, let's fucking do it. And also too, I'm gonna make Hot Take Chop Suey ain't their best song, bro. That need nigga, BYOB, Ariel's my nigga. Oh,
Toxicity.
Yo! Turn it on, Tristan. Turn it on, Tristan. No, but look too. A lot of so when we speak to, and the reason being, right? A lot of my like quote unquote activism or just that radical mentality, you pick up in other musical genres. A lot of shit we talk about, System of a Down talk about all the time. You did? Why do you send the poor? Why don't presidents fight the war? Why do we always send the poor? We be talking about that all the time, but it's in the music, right? I think a lot of times, like, we look to versions of ourselves. We look to people that look like us. Always they have the answers, right? And it's because, like, we feel like we've been kept out of humanity, so I don't want to hear the opinions of nobody else if they don't look like me, right? There's a lot of answers for us. There's a lot of places of expression that we fit in everywhere just because they don't want to include us. And y'all have persisted in including yourself. Now you're taking over the expression, right? I'm going to take over how I look in this space because I don't feel represented well. Oh, I'm turned up right now. I gotta like gather myself, bro. Actually, I was ready to go into that second verse. Stupid. And then my dog right here, he's going word for word. I'm like, yeah.
I was right there with you, bro. I was right there
System of a Down. It's in the name. Rage Against the Machine. It's in the name, right? And no. I'm gonna put you on that.
Don't worry. We got you.
So the thing is like I go to this like when we look at a group like Public Enemy, right, or KRS-One. This is like an iteration of that, right? If we can't, if they're gonna control our media, of course, people with that same messaging, you're gonna find them in other spaces because it's okay if they don't look like, we don't want these niggas talking like that. You know, the nigga with from Rage Against the Machine got locks and shit, you know, ambiguous. Let him rock out. You know what I'm saying? That's often the like places that we find ourselves in when we look for representation, right? But like wherever you are represented intellectually, you in that space already, right? I think if we want to help our community, we're gonna always be pulling from other places, pulling from other communities, pulling from other voices, even if they don't look like us, to bring that back. You know what I'm saying? And oftentimes, you don't know how many people like. I wasn't trying to do a poll, but I had an idea that somebody in here rock with that shit like I rock with it because we've all been subjected to the same media. We've all like shit. Everybody used to get up. If you're a millennial, you used to get up TRL, or if you're a TBS type guy, you're going Saved by the Bell, Fresh Prince, and you might damn near miss the bus because like shit getting good. You know what I'm saying?
She's the godmother of rock. There's black roots to rock music.
Absolutely, yeah. So, man, you beat me to my shit. But what I was gonna say was, I do a poll because the reason being is that a lot of these things are started by us, right? So when they phase us out of it, we feel like we don't belong in it, and we can see that in multiple spaces in media, multiple spaces of expression, even like. The whole format for stand-up comedy is created by a black man, right? There is no stand-up without black people, right? But now people use that stand-up to reinforce shit that's gonna harm black people. Or to just be outright racist, right? And call it funny. And so like even with things like rock and roll, things that were started by us, Sister Rosetta Tharpe, Chuck Berry, things like this, things that were started by us, grunge music, started in Seattle by a black woman. These things that we see ourselves outside of, if you do a little digging, you're gonna find yourself every time. So when we think about the structure of spaces like this, when we think about the structure of the Harlem Renaissance being led and provided by people that may not necessarily engage in the arts, like a brother Darren Flood, then we lead to W.E.B. Du Bois, and that's why we brought our brother Conscious Lee in this motherfucker.
Okay. I think a lot of what you was talking about in terms of acceptance and in terms of validation deals with W.E.B. Du Bois's concept of double consciousness. And I feel like a lot of the alternative kids growing up in school have that double consciousness where you're not really looking for validation from other kids because you got it at home. And because you're very mindful of how you see yourself, it's like, I'm not going to allow for these individuals to prescribe all these weird pathological things about alternative nerd shit on me, because I know that ain't me. I think that when we start to get into space, and especially in this Trump era, I think it's really about us being able to see ourselves for ourselves, while also being mindful of how the world sees us. Because we know it's a danger to not being mindful of how the world sees us, because you can get fucked up real easy, you know? So for me, just thinking about how W.E.B. Du Bois was able to curate spaces like this, he didn't write poems, but you know, he allowed that the poets of the Harlem Renaissance needed space. I think Duran has done a smooth, good job of curating a space to make sure black creatives can be creative, even though he's not necessarily engaging in metaphorically creating the poems. You know what I'm saying? Catch my drift. Another thing that came to mind when you was talking was, I had a panel yesterday about Afrofuturism and the need to have a radical imagination in order to imagine black people being in a position that we ain't in right now. And I think that y'all in this space, before I even knew what the hell Afrofuturism was, I think that people in this space was already enacting it in real life by being able to break through the limitations of what blackness can be, what blackness has been, and what blackness is, to radically imagine something different. That's why y'all got cosplay and the costumes on, because we know that the stigma around being black and not being static, not being flat, it comes with consequences. And I think having a radical imagination requires a certain bravery where you ain't tripping on the consequences, which takes me back to the double consciousness thing. So I'm really glad that I came. I'm really glad that I came. It's my first time ever being at a comic book conference ever, especially around niggas, black people. You know what I'm saying? Funny story, then I passed the mic. On the way back, I love eating oysters. Yeah. Yesterday I went and grabbed some oysters. On the way back here, it was this white Italian dude from Brooklyn that wanted to tell me that he had a wife that was a Moroccan Israeli, but he was talking about how, very interesting. I was like, okay. In this conversation, he was tiptoeing around it. Yeah, so what's going on here? You with the comic book conference? I'm like, yeah, with black people. I'm me, you know what I'm saying? I'm a country, you know what I mean? I'm a Texan, you feel me? So we gonna call it what they responded. See, I didn't want to say anything. I had to call my wife and say, I've never seen this many brothers dressed up like this when I was in. Listen, I feel like that made him feel comfortable enough for him to just be like, I ain't never seen any black folks like this. And it's bringing it back to full circle. I think that us as black people gotta be mindful of how we talk to each other. Because when we talk to each other in particular ways, white folks hear it and they will copy and paste it and really try to use it and fold it back into their shit. We seen it during the election. We see it right now. We see it right now where you have Marjorie Greene Taylor able to correlate. You went to private school. Are you really for your people? They got that shit. Yes, said that. Said that she's faking like she's for the people when she went to private school and she went to all these great better off schools, so how can she really be for the people? She's lying. That sound like some shit I read on Twitter or read on Facebook or read on. So my point in thinking about it is, when we don't have a double consciousness and we don't think about how we are being perceived in public spaces, it allows for us to give fuel to white people to weaponize it against us, to eliminate us and make it where now the division is within them. Another example is the Tory Lanez, Meg Thee Stallion was a big fissure within the community. It broke up a lot of, unity. It broke up a lot of relationships in different ways. When I see Republicans on Twitter sharing that they're trying to get Tory Lanez out of jail.
Hey, yo.
I know they watching. So just being mindful of how we talk to each other and how we move forward, especially when we're thinking about all the pathologies of the greater writ large black culture as well as the alternative culture. Be mindful of how we handle each other, because somebody collecting data, man, it's like, ooh, this what they say? Write that down, then they go to their little think tank, and then, they flip it, and next thing you know, Kamala Harris not being black is a part of their campaign hidden. It's like, hey, we got better shit for you to say against her than saying that. You know what I'm saying? And that's what we gotta be mindful of.
Great Joe Biden said, if you don't vote for me.
Hey,
You know what he said?
That's what happened when you ride Bill Clinton dick for years. Also, too, we was watching 8 Mile. We let Eminem get that shit off, bro. You went to Cranbrook. They should have stomped him out on stage. So what? He rap now. All right? Papa Doc is a rapper, okay? He's cosplaying a gangster right now. He trying to get his shit off. Fuck the free world. No, he really tried to clown bro for being smart. Now, check me out, though. He said, you got 2 parents. They got a real good marriage. And you went to private school. You ain't black. Meanwhile, all his belongings was in a garbage bag. Why is we listening to this man? I'm not listening to a nigga that mom. Never mind. I'm just saying, man. We gotta be mindful of the voices that we elevate, you know what I'm saying? Because Holmes' schoolmate was in there cracking his mom. Why? And he worked at New Detroit Stamping. And we was listening to him like, yeah, bro, this is real hip hop. Like, no, we should have, but the thing is, we don't be mindful of the programming or where it comes from. So, shout out to Joe Biden. You niggas ain't black. Hold on, I'm gonna come around and tell. Tristan, you wanna speak to the people? Y'all ain't never seen the editor say that.
I'm not a man of much words, but of all the things I could say, I just want to say thank y'all for supporting the podcast. This has been a crazy year and a half, 2 years. Seeing all these beautiful faces just gives me a lot of inspiration to keep going and keep refining, keep making the product better for y'all, because at the end of the day, we just want to make sure that we're given the best opportunity for our community as possible, because this shit like this right here, this is dangerous. Y'all don't understand it, but this is dangerous. A lot of ideas get shared in spaces, and it leads to changes in like the way people think, how they act, how they operate. So, like I said, it's about y'all. Thank you.
I gotta understand, man. When we told Tristan we was coming to a black comiccon, dog started. This is shit. You know what I'm saying? This is his type of vibe. I would say we're in the conclusion of the show per se, but we do want to open up the floor for like questions. You can ask me, Big Cat, Consciously. You can ask the professor. You can ask anybody in here a question. I'm dead ass. Come up here. Come on. You've been invited up. Because you got to understand that
I want to say that you just made her dream come true. So she hit me up and said, is he really going to be here? I am his biggest fan. You are lying. I said, bring him to a nerd space? I said, bro, stop playing with me, bro. I said, stop playing with me. And she showed up, and she's excited, and we appreciate her. I mean, and on top of, she's an educator, bro, like at HBCU. The most important person in the room. No, seriously.
Thank you, Mr. Blerd. Shout out, give another round of applause for Darren Blerd. He is responsible for all of this. I don't know if my my form was right on that run, cuz, but I had to get that off. I didn't even know what that taste of freedom felt like, nigga. Just a little slither of freedom. And the reason why I did want to bring you up too is because I ain't gonna say I'm limited in language. I ain't finna do all that. You know what I'm saying? I'm like that. I'm gonna say a lot of cussing, I'm gonna say a lot of niggas, but y'all get it, y'all understand. But some things are better suited for the person that took the path in education, right? When I was out here saying fuck basketball and fuck school, she would lock me in 10 toes. My brother constantly locked me in 10 toes. So, by show of hands, who got a question? And you're gonna come up here. You dig? Yeah. Yeah. Nah, ain't no oh no. Lock the doors. I'm serious, lock the doors. No, you can just stay where you at, I got you. I'm gonna be the host, you know what I'm saying? Big Cat hosts New Music Monday, so if you are a rapper, who a rapper in here?
16 off right now.
I love that shit. I love it. We're doing something else in here. We don't need no more rappers. If I had to hang up the mic, damn it, you do too. I'm telling y'all, bruh, I ain't got it all. All right, show of hands, who got a question?